On February 10th, the U.S. House Judiciary Subcommittee on the Constitution and Limited Government held a high-profile hearing titled Sharia-Free America: Why Political Islam and Sharia Law Are Incompatible with the U.S. Constitution. That's all well and good, but it does also beg the question: what exactly is the difference between Islam on the one hand and political Islam and Sharia law on the other? I ask because it seems that a great many Western people are suffering from what's known as the distinction without a difference fallacy. Consider these two positions, which many in the West would seem to embrace. 1. Freedom of religion is a cornerstone of the Western way of life. Therefore, Muslims and Islam are welcome in the West. 2. Sharia law is antithetical to the Western way of life. Therefore, Sharia has no place in the West. Many Americans would, for example, say something like this: I'm a firm believer in freedom of religion. As such, I find it unconscionable to prevent Muslims from coming, living, and freely practicing their faith in America. That said, I'm an avowed foe of Sharia, which absolutely has no place in America. There are many examples of people speaking and thinking this way, straight to the top, beginning with the American president himself. For example, Donald J. Trump has made many welcoming and inclusive gestures to Muslims in America. Last Ramadan, he issued the following greeting, quote, As millions of Muslim Americans begin their Ramadan observances, my administration recommits to upholding religious liberty that is such an integral part of the American way of life. This Ramadan, I offer my best wishes. May God bless you and your families during this wondrous season. But Trump has also said, quote, Anyone who believes Sharia law supplants American law will not be given an immigrant visa. If you want to join our society, then you must embrace our society, our values, and our tolerant way of life. So, on the one hand, Trump respects and honors the religious liberty of millions of Muslim Americans during the wondrous season of Ramadan. On the other hand, he firmly rejects Sharia law for being antithetical to, quote, our American society, our values, and our tolerant way of life. Now, this contrarian way of thinking exemplifies the distinction without a difference fallacy that many, if not most, Americans commit concerning Islam. They seem to think that a major difference exists between being a Muslim and being an adherent of Sharia, being a Muslim and being a follower of political Islam. Hence why only a few Americans, especially their politicians, are willing to criticize Islam, while a great many have no problem criticizing Sharia. Reality, of course, is much different. Simply put, Islam is the descriptive name of the religion. Sharia is the prescriptive way of upholding it. They are inseparable. To be a Muslim is by definition to be one who adheres to Sharia. This is even evident in the etymology of the words themselves. Islam means submission or surrender, and a Muslim is one who has submitted or surrendered. Submitted or surrendered to what exactly? Well, to Allah's will. And how does one go about ascertaining Allah's will? Well, through His revealed book, the Quran, and through the words and deeds of Allah's Prophet, Muhammad, who was sent to be an excellent example for humanity to follow, according to Quran 33:21. Taken together, the many commandments and prohibitions derived from the Quran and from Muhammad's example or Sunnah show Muslims the way to live, indeed, the way to life, which is the literal definition of Sharia. In the classical Arabic of Muhammad's time, Sharia meant the path or roadway to water. Considering the desiccated and arid conditions of Arabia, the path to water was synonymous with the path to life. Hence why that word was chosen to describe Islamic law. Sharia then is not just how Muslims should live, it is the way to life itself. In this sense, Sharia is not so dissimilar from how early Christian texts, such as the Didache, described the teachings of Christ as the way to life, hahodos in Greek. Here at last we come to the root problem. The Muslim way of life is in many respects antithetical to the Western way of life, not least as the latter was, at least in its origins, based on the Christian way of life. Think about it. Hate for, discrimination against, and jihad on non-Muslims. Wife-beating, polygamy, even sex slavery. draconian punishments for, including execution of, those who blaspheme against Muhammad or try to apostatize from Islam. All of these are part of Sharia. That is, all of these are part of the Muslim way of and to life, no less than Islam's so-called 5 pillars, prayer, fasting, etc. In short, to be a practicing Muslim is to be a Sharia-compliant Muslim. They are one and the same. Now, if we turn to ongoing developments in Texas, which is what prompted the recent House hearing on Sharia, it's clear that Americans are increasingly becoming aware that Sharia, the Muslim way, directly contradicts the Western way. And they have no problem calling it as they see it, as in the recent House hearing, which has the word Sharia in it. Too many of them, however, still speak as if Sharia is some unnecessary accretion to Islam, something ignored by most Muslims, an option, something that's practiced only by those pesky radicals. If they understood just how inextricable Islam and Sharia are, when they say things like, quote, Sharia law is not allowed in Texas, as Greg Abbott, the governor of that state, regularly affirms, they would understand that what they are really saying is that Islam itself is not allowed in the West.